Okay, Nikki D here. We're going to talk about some wine. So, why don't we go just to Google Docs and we'll make a new intro to wine document. And I'm also going to open up Google Images because why not? So, as you can see, I've got all kinds of beautiful documents here, and we're going to make a brand new one just for today. So, we're going to call this What is Wine? And I love using Google Images because it's a really great way of showing what wine is, or what anything is, through pictures. And wine is a beautiful, complicated, ancient thing that's been around for a long, long time. Let's even ask our friendly ChatGPT. In a sentence, what is wine? Basically going to be fermented grape juice is my guess, but let's go hello just to make sure chat is up and running. In a sentence, what is wine? This is going to be beautiful. Psalm GPT. Okay, fermented grapes or other fruits. I would argue that fermented grapes is kind of the only thing that we're looking at if we're talking about strawberry or blackberry wine. That's a totally different conversation, and my opinion is that wine is made from grapes. So, what is wine? A beverage with alcohol made from fermented grape juice. And specifically, we're looking at which grapes? Generally, it's going to be Vitis vinifera. And that's the European wine grape. So Vitis vinifera is originally from Europe and is all the varieties that we know and love. You're thinking your Chardonnay, your Pinot Noir, your Syrah. All these are Vitis vinifera. But there are other species that we might see as well. Vitis labrusca, Vitis riparia, Vitis rupestris, and others. Call this other grapes. North American. And those can make wine, although they're not as highly regarded as our favorite Vitis vinifera, but there's a lot of movement these days, especially with climate change, to enjoy different grape species, which can be hardy in tough climates, but the wines are less fine. So maybe these are, in contrast, finer wines, but require more particular climates. So which species of grapes make wine? How about this, ChatGPT? This will be interesting. Okay, Vitis vinifera, blah, blah, blah. We know these nicely. I got that fancy GPT-4. Okay, here we go. Labrusca, riparia. Oh, rotundifolia. Thank you for that. Forgot that one. And these come from North America. So let's have a little Google image exploration of wine regions from around the world. And it's very interesting to notice the latitude of where wine is grown. We see it's kind of around the 40th north parallel and 40th south parallel. That's a pretty interesting thing. So where is wine grown? That's a handy map. Let's also look at the World Coffee Map. World Coffee Map. I like this where the regions are highlighted. So what's not as cool here is it doesn't show the latitude lines. I wish it did. Oh, coffee belt. Now we're in kind of a better setup here. So we'll copy this image and put it in our little document. Where is coffee grown? And the reason we're referencing coffee is just for fun. It's one of the main beverages. What are the other main beverages that we're talking about? Of course, we have beer, wine, spirits, coffee, tea, and cola are the 6 important historic beverages of the world. So where is wine grown? We see that we go, look at Africa. It's kind of funny. They kind of impose across from each other. There's wine, and then excluding wine, now we're in coffee zone. Okay, so now let's look at the chocolate map, World Chocolate Map. I want the same type of delicious presentation where it shows the... now, here we go. Got that band. There's the equator. So we're even closer to the equator for chocolate versus coffee from what it looks like to me. So go further inland. Where is chocolate grown? I guess it's cacao that's grown. It's not chocolate. Chocolate's like the product. Just like where is wine grown, it's wine grapes that are grown, but we don't need to split hairs too much. Okay, so which grapes? This is going back to our original point here. And key varieties? Well, we're going to look at varieties for white wine, we'll call these pink grapes. White wine, we'll call these white grapes. White grapes, pink grapes, and then red wine, red grapes. And then red wine, we'll call these Tinturier grapes. Let's call these red juice grapes. I'm just going to use the real term. So white wine from white grapes. Thank you, spell check. We're talking our Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Riesling, super common. White wine from pink grapes, we're looking at Pinot Grigio, Gewürztraminer, Moscow Filero. Red grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Pinot Noir. Now, Tinturier, these are super special. How about Ruby Red, Alicante Boucher, and Gamay Tinturier. So we can do a little bit more imaging here. Ruby Red Grape. Let's do Alicante Boucher. That'll be more definitive. Alicante Boucher Grape. So what's super interesting about this, oh, I love that image. It shows it. So the innards of the Alicante Boucher grape have red juice, which is super unique. So Alicante Boucher has red juice. All of these other types of grapes do not have red juice. We'll make this small. Alicante Boucher has red juice, unlike most grapes, which have white juice, have clear juice. How about that? Which have clear juice. So even these red grapes, like Pinot Noir, have clear juice. It's just the skin that's red. Isn't this fascinating? Okay, so I'll highlight this since we have the image. Let's go Chardonnay grape bunch. These are all beautiful. This looks like it would be on the cover of some sort of travel brochure. So we'll use that because I like it. So we see these are sort of white, yellow in color, whatever. That works. Chardonnay. Alicante Boucher. What the heck, I'll just make a new page. We're going to have lots of pages today. Okay, I'm working on my formatting here. Okay, we've got our Chardonnay. Now, check this out. Gewürztraminer grapes. You might think they're going to look like Chardonnay, but let me tell you what. Boom. Look at the color of those beautiful grapes. They're very pinkish. I think this is a terrific example. So these can still make white wine, of course, but because they have these thicker pinkish skins, they tend to bring a little bit more color into the final wine, just through the winemaking process. So this is Gewürztraminer. Pink-skinned. Chardonnay. Let's show those white-skinned. Okay. Now we can look at some red grapes. Let's go Pinot Noir. One of my favorite. Pinot Noir grapes. These are often adorable, cute little bunches. A bit more petite than much of the grape varieties that are out there. This is a very typical look for Pinot Noir, so I will gladly take it. They're not really red-skinned. I guess they're more black-skinned, but whatever. Tomato, tomato, right? Okay, so these are some important grape varieties. And in total, how many grapes are there? In common practice, about 20 grapes are used around the world. for most of wine. Beyond those, a total of, let's say, 300 grapes are likely to happen in various regions. We'll call those niche regions. So let's see if we can name in a more specific list some of these grapes. So common ones, of course, white, for white wine and red wine. Chardonnay, Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, which is the same as Pinot Gris, just a different spelling. Viognier, Albarino, Marsanne, Gruner, Veltliner. I would say like really these four are like the most common. Even these are like somewhat less common. Grenache Blanc. Let's see if I can get 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Golly. Trying to pick one that's not like super obscure. Chenin Blanc, how about that? Okay, that works. Okay, and I might, well, whatever. Red grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Grenache, Malbec, Tempranillo, Sangiovese, Nebbiolo. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do one more. How about Zinfandel? Okay, so then various niche regions. Maybe instead of calling, so these are like maybe the four most common, who's to say? But various niche regions. So instead of just naming random regions, let's name countries. Wine countries. France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Hungary, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, United States, Canada, Australia, okay, New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina, Chile. And these are like my top 16 wine countries. It's where we see wine from around the world pretty commonly. Go back to our map here, and we'll see that, yeah, we've got New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Argentina, Chile, United States, Canada, and Europe. Of course, there are other countries that make wine too, but these are maybe the top 16, okay? And from here, we can, what am I doing? Okay, we can add in some, like a top wine region. So Bordeaux. There we go. Tuscany. Rioja. Douro. Santorini. Tokai. Wachau. Mosel. Valais. Napa Valley. Okanagan Valley. Barossa Valley. Let's go Marlborough. South Africa, Stellenbosch. Argentina, Mendoza. Chile, Maipo. Okay, and then from each region, I'm going to try to name a red and a white grape. So I'll just put the red wine first, Cabernet Sauvignon. Sauvignon. And we can do Semillon. Let's see if I can do it without repeating any grapes too. That'd be cool. Sangiovese. I would say, like, on a global scale, Cabernet Sauvignon is common. Semillon is more rare. Sangiovese, we can say it's common. Vernaccia is more rare. Tempranillo, common. Viura, more rare. Dura, Touriga Nacional. Call that common. What would be a Douro white that I should mention? How about Rabigato? Is that right? Rabigato? Yeah, that works. Rabigato. All right. Santorini. Mavro Tragano. Acertico. I guess we could call that common-ish. Tokai Red. Don't see a lot of red coming from Tokai. But if we just say North Hungary, that'll open things up a little bit. So we can say Kadarka, more rare, and Ferment, call that, I guess, more common. Somewhat common. And I'm going to call Acertico somewhat common. Keeping going here. How about instead of Wachau, I'll just go Niederösterreich. And for a red grape, I don't know if they make too much in the Niederösterreich, but we can say Blau Frankish. I would call that common. And there's also Gruner Veltliner, common. But between them, I would say somewhat common. Mosel. What do we have here for white? Well, white is going to be Riesling. Maybe instead of Mosel, I'll go Rheingau. Or let's go Pfalz, so that I can use Dornfelder. Is more rare. Riesling, common. Okay, and we're almost out of the woods with Europe here. Valais. Golly, we're going to have a couple rare grapes here. Let's go Gamma Ray is quite rare. And also Amine de Vitrose, Amine, is also quite rare. So we're kind of in a pickle with Switzerland. United States, Napa Valley. Let's switch this to Merlot. How about that? Since we already used it, because I want to use Cabernet Sauvignon here. And for a white, sure, let's go Chardonnay. That makes sense. Okanagan Valley. Now, I'm going to need some help here with Okanagan Valley. Let's go over to Cellar Tracker. Cellar Tracker. Oh, let's go CT Wine. Okanagan. That's a little shortcut I set up for Okanagan. And we're just going to summarize using this handy-dandy summary tool. Maybe instead of 1,000 items per page, I'll just do 100 so that it loads faster. I don't want my computer to explode. And we'll do by variety. I don't want master variety. I just want variety. Red Bordeaux blend. Okay, well, we're looking at... We can use Syrah, I suppose. And then... What? Pinot Gris? Maybe we'll use Chardonnay and Merlot. How about that? Syrah. Let's use Syrah and Chardonnay. How about that? So Syrah, Chardonnay, and instead of Chardonnay here in Napa Valley, let's have fun and use Viognier. That's a fun grape. Oh, shoot. Well, now we can't use Syrah in Barossa Valley, but that's okay. We can use Mataro, a.k.a. Mourvedre. And that'll be another point to cover in another moment here would be grape synonyms. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here. Did we use Riesling yet? We did use Riesling. Gosh darn it. Well, maybe instead of Barossa Valley, I'll use... I don't know. This is always the tricky part of the list here, if I don't want to use repeats. Let's go Riesling here, and then in the faults, instead of Riesling, I'll use Weissburgunder, a.k.a. Pinot Blanc. So that's a synonym. Riesling. Okay, Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc would be fun. And why not? Let's use Cabernet Franc. So I would say it's quite common, and maybe Cabernet Franc is less common. Stellenbosch. Let's use our friend Pinotage and also Chenin Blanc. Common and common. Mendoza, we get some Malbec action. Sometimes we see Torrontés. We can say like Salta, and so that we can use both. That'd be cool. And then Maipo, Carmenere, and this is getting tricky here. How about Muscat? So common, less common. Same thing, Malbec, common, Torrontés, less common. So styles of wine. Of course, we have red wine, white wine. So red wine is made by soaking red grapes with their skins to ferment. White wine is separating white grapes from the juice and fermenting the juice on its own. Orange wine is soaking white grapes with their skins to ferment, like a red wine. And we can just call this skin contact white is another way to say it. Pink wine, aka rosé, aka rosato, aka rosado, is soaking red grapes with their skins briefly to ferment. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. Or pressing the juice out of red grapes so that some color is brought from the skins. Yeah. Okay, we can have sparkling wines. Capturing the CO2 caused by fermentation. Wine made by capturing the CO2 caused by fermentation. If it's the first original fermentation from the grape juice, that is ancestral method. If a second fermentation is caused by adding extra sugar and yeast to an already made base wine, that is the champagne method, aka traditional method. Okay, and then in bottle, if a second fermentation is caused by adding extra sugar and yeast to an already made base wine in tank, that is called the Charmat method. Which is used for Prosecco. Okay, what other styles of wine do we have? Late harvest wine. Grapes are left on the vine for a long time to ferment or to develop extra sugars. If the grapes dry out or raisinate, the sugars will concentrate as water evaporates. And I'll just call that raisinate. I guess that's a word. Raisination can be caused by the sun or by a mold called botrytis. And then fortified wines. Water removal can also be achieved with frozen grapes. And by pressing out the super sweet juice when the water crystals are still frozen. Okay, fortified wines. So regular wine fermentation reduces the sugar of grape juice and replaces that sugar with alcohol. By halting the fermentation, through the addition of fortified or of distilled spirits, the yeast will die, and any unfermented sugar will remain. The final alcohol volume of the wine will also increase. Okay, I'm just about tired of talking for right now, so I'll just use a couple of synonyms here because we were going to do that. So we did Mataro, aka Mourvèdre. What else do we have? Pinot Blanc, aka Weissburgunder. Let's use like the primary grape name first, aka Mataro, aka Monastrell. We'll do a couple more. How about Liston Prieto, aka Pais, aka Mission, aka Mission, aka Criolla Chica, aka oh, maybe that's all I got. Mission Criolla Chica, that's fine. So basically these are the same grapes known by different names. Tempranillo, aka Sensibel, aka Aragonés, aka Tinto Fino, aka Tinta del País, aka Tinta de Toro. Okay, so we can do a quick review. What is wine? A beverage that contains alcohol made from fermented grape juice. Fermentation caused by a yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Did I spell cerevisiae right? That would be cool if I did. It's a tough one. I think I did. Okay. Which grapes? Vitis vinifera, European wine grape. Other grapes exist from North America, but the wine's not quite the same. Key varieties: white wine with pink skins, red wine with pink juice. Or red juice. Red Juice Club. How many grapes are there? There's about 20 most important grapes, but maybe 300 around the world from small regions. Here are the top countries that you can think about for wine production. Here's the top 16. and within them, a key region. Within the region, a red and a white grape, with no repeats. Just for fun. What styles of wine exist? Red, white, orange, pink, sparkling, late harvest, fortified. Grape synonyms. These are the same grapes known by different names. Here's some pictures of grapes. Chardonnay, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Noir, Alicante Bouschet. Historic beverage categories: beer, wine, spirits, coffee, tea, cola. Where is wine grown? It's up there and down there. Coffee's grown a little bit further towards the equator, and cacao is grown very close to the equator. So there you have it. That's wine. All done.